So far, in the year of 2023, more than 25,000 people have lost their lives to gun violence, with 1,050 of those being children and teens. Since the year of 2020, we've reached record highs consecutively, and the numbers are only climbing. In a world where everyone wants peace, no one can seem to find it. But trouble is right around the corner and ready for anyone who dares to cross its path. We all know the saying that if you live by the sword, you'll die by it. But what about those who are innocent? The ones who trouble seemed to find, even though they aren't seeking. They're merely living their life, and in a blink of an eye, it all changes. And warm smiles turn into cold tears. And when the tears dry, the pain remains. February 23rd, 1991. The world would make way for Taylor Hayden. She would be brought into this world by her parents Peter and Joyce Hayden. The place she called home would be the state of Minnesota, where she would also have her upbringing and education. Her schooling would begin in Garden Montessori Preschool, and then she would head off to Harvest Preparatory Elementary. It would be at these two locations that she would begin to blossom into the person she was. From early childhood, Taylor was always eager and willing to learn. Her teachers described her as someone who was a bright light, and the students, they adored her. She was a light, bubbly personality and easy to get along with, so making friendships wasn't hard at all. She would eventually end up at Wayzata High School, a school located in Plymouth, Minnesota. Outside of feeding her brain with as much knowledge as she could, she enjoyed sports. She participated in cross country, basketball, and even track. Whenever Taylor Hayden set out to do something, she gave it her all, 100% or none. In high school, Taylor quickly became known as the fun, outgoing, outspoken, genuine girl with a beautiful personality. At any given time of the year, you could spot Taylor walking through the hallways of her high school, wearing her blue and gold Wayzata letter jacket. She was even named captain of the track team in her senior year, and she wore it like a badge of honor. She would graduate from Wayzata High School in the year of 2009 and officially begin her journey as an adult. Following her graduation, she would attend Prairie View A&M University, where she would earn a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communications and ultimately graduate in the year of 2014. After college, she would obtain a job at Morris Hyundai, located in Minnesota. But being the person she was with big thoughts and big dreams, the little city she was in just couldn't hold her personality, and she was longing for something bigger. And she would eventually transition to Houston, Texas. She would make the big move in the year of 2016. Upon arriving in Houston, she would obtain a job at Enterprise Rental Company, where she was in training to be in management. Although she was far away from where she called home sweet home, she wasn't alone. She had grandparents, aunts, and uncles that resided in the Texas area. And she was only a short drive away from her grandparents, where she would often pop in to say hello and to tell her grandparents that her gas tank needed a little love. And although her parents did miss her, they found comfort knowing she was around other family, and they were elated to have her. July 22nd, 2016. Taylor Hayden would arrive in Atlanta, Georgia with a group of her friends. She was on a girlfriend's trip. In fact, this was her first girlfriend's trip ever. She was always so busy with her studies or helping other people that she never really had free time to just enjoy life. But now that she has a little time, this is where her and her friends chose to visit. Her and her friends had rented a home in the Atlanta area, and they planned to spend the weekend there. They had all types of activities planned out, and by all means were planning to make this weekend a time to remember. Saturday, July 23rd, 2016. Taylor and her friends would spend the day enjoying the city. Towards the evening hours, they would go get a bite to eat. But when it started getting late, they're on vacation, so they weren't going home. After leaving the restaurant, they would end up at a club, a place that's known as the Anchor Down Grill and Lounge, a spot that's known for its soul food, but in the after hours, it's a party spot. They would hang out for a bit, and then around 4:50 a.m. they would decide to leave. After a night out of enjoying themselves out of town, they would go inside of the parking lot where they would order an Uber, and they would sit there and wait for it. But before their ride could arrive, tragedy would strike. Suddenly, gunshots would ring out from the parking lot, and people would start running everywhere. A witness would describe hearing so many shots that it sounded like a 4th of July fireworks celebration. And when the last shell casing hit the ground, 25-year-old Taylor Hayden had been struck twice in a hail of gunfire. Minutes later, an ambulance would arrive on the scene to transport Taylor Hayden to Grady Hospital. But by the time she reached the hospital, there was nothing the doctors could do for her. Sadly, it was too late, and she would be pronounced dead on arrival. While the authorities are preparing themselves to tell her parents the bad news, they're also back at the Anchor Down Grill and Lounge, trying to piece together what happened. Upon arriving on the scene, they would immediately discover several shell casings, but witnesses were almost non-existent because after the shots were fired, most of the inhabitants of the bar had gotten inside of their cars and left the scene. After combing through the people who were still on the scene, they did manage to capture some information. A witness would tell the authorities that two groups of people were arguing. One group of people who were driving a dark-colored Audi, and another group of men who were in a white Escalade. During the course of the argument is when the shots began to fire. Now, no one was clear whether both cars were involved in the shooting, but everyone was certain that the white Escalade fired shots. They also believe that the white Escalade inhabitants were responsible for Taylor's death because shortly after she hit the ground, they hopped inside of their car and sped off. And when the smoke cleared, no vehicles were damaged, and Taylor Hayden would be the only one to be hit by a bullet. But to add insult to injury, the authorities would come to find that during the shooting, Taylor Hayden was used as a human shield. It isn't specified whether this is a woman or a man, but someone used Taylor as a lifesaver, and everyone else was saved by grace. After learning the information about the dark-colored Audi and the white Escalade, they would immediately obtain surveillance camera footage. But when they go to check the footage, it did not catch the shooting. It only caught a glimpse of people running to their cars and panicking. And when they checked the surveillance cameras on the inside, it became clear that the groups of people inside of the dark-colored Audi and the white Escalade weren't inside of the bar, and the argument didn't start there. With no footage showing an altercation inside of the bar, the only thing they could do now is to form theories out of thin air. They believe that either Taylor was caught in between gunfire of two opposing gangs, or it was a drug deal gone bad. But with no real details to explain what happened, they would be forced to turn to the media to ask the public if anyone was at that bar that night to come forward with what they know.
New information about the murder of this woman, and police believe she was caught in the crossfire when two groups started shooting at each other. Now they released video they hope will lead to an arrest. Christy Hutchings with News Radio 1067 has a look at the new information from police tonight.
Atlanta Police Lieutenant Charles Hampton hopes by releasing the video from the shooting that night, someone will come forward with information. You can't see it on the video, but some sort of fight breaks out off screen. Then you see the crowd scramble, and the crowd was gone before police arrived. Police also want two vehicles identified, the Audi that can be seen in the corner and a white Escalade seen leaving the scene.
Although they've reached out to the media and the public, and at this point in time, they've been offered an incentive, a reward for any information in regards to what happened, but no one comes forward. And a week passes, and by July 30th of 2016, Taylor Hayden's family would be forced to bury her without any answers as to why it happened. At this point in time, Taylor Hayden's case is still an open investigation. The groups of men who drove the dark-colored Audi and the white Escalade were never identified, but someone, somewhere, knows something. And I urge you to come forward with the information, because not only was an innocent life taken, but it was taken with no closure for the family.
Good evening. My name is Peter Hayden. I'm the father of Taylor Hayden. We're here to honor Taylor. As you know, or may not know, 4 years ago, tragically, Taylor's life was taken from us. I'm standing here with her mother, and I just want you to know the family's here and many of our friends who we love so much. We just want to thank you for being here.
Thank you again for being here. We are obviously shaken because Taylor isn't with us and we're having to do this event. And it would be our best dream for her to be here with us. Without Taylor, our world is not the same. So tonight we're honoring her. We are loving her. We are making sure that she knows that we are remembering her.
I'll always miss hearing Taylor's calming and warm voice say my name in the halls of Wayzata, or the random Facebook notes I'd get after we had both left Minnesota to go to college. We didn't always stay in touch day to day, but she was someone that would reach out randomly just to say hi. And it's things like that that I think we all is exactly how we would identify Taylor. She was just someone you could rely on, whether you met her once or you knew her whole life. And I'm really fortunate to know the Haydens and to have had Taylor in my life, and I'm just really grateful.
Taylor was just astronomical. She was just a great human in general. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Loving, caring. She's so bubbly, so smart, beautiful, like just an all-around person. Never hurt, harmed anyone that I can think of in her life.
So I just wanted to quick share some notes that I found from Taylor that she wrote to me, and just to show how loving she was and how amazing of a best friend she was. And it says, "To my gutter baby, I love you so much. Ever since I met you, we've been on the same thing and the same mindset. We understand each other and there's no greater bond. We're going to be friends. We're going to be friends forever and sisters for eternity. I can't believe our high school year is basically over, but girl, we made it. We're on to much bigger and better things outside of Minnesota. Can't nothing or nobody hold us back from our dreams. And we have proved that countless times, whether it may be us walking in school or dancing. Girl, we stay killing it. Thanks for loving me and understanding me. I miss being with you. I will miss being with you each and every day, but I'll always be only one phone call away."
I'm here in spirit, and to another 40 years, you're my hero, and I love you, and keep it up. I'm here in spirit, and to another 40 years, you're my hero, and I love you, and keep it up.
If you were on the scene that night of that shooting, I want you to remember that on that night, that could have easily been you, and that you were only saved by divine grace. And for you to be able to get away and possibly know something in regards to what happened and not open your mouth about it is truly despicable. The family now fights against gun violence in the name of their daughter, in hopes that they could save one family from experiencing the tragedy that they underwent. If you have any information in regards to Taylor Hayden's case, please contact the Atlanta Police Department and come forward with what you know. Rest in peace, Taylor Hayden. Thank you for being a light for others.